Hello everyone. Welcome to my first official vlog. I apologize in advance if you hear that. That is my almost 4-month-old. Anyways, I just wanted to first of all thank everyone for your love and support after I officially relaunched my blog. It was definitely needed. It was time to come back. I think the reason why I hadn't published in a while is because I just kind of got lost. I got lost with the track of time. I got lost with the track of checking in with myself and making sure that I'm doing things more for me. And when I first initially started the blog, it was a great platform for me to share and express my feelings and my thoughts. And kind of one of the reasons why I even named my blog Untold Thoughts, I don't think I've ever really explained this, is because I'm the type of person that will bottle up my feelings. I've been like that from the get-go, and it's just something that I've never been able to break out of. And finally, now that I've matured in life, I've grown up, I'm now the mother of 2 little girls, I'm realizing the importance and the significance of really sharing what's on my mind. Not only does it benefit myself, it benefits the people around me who I need to lean on during some difficult times, or some good times too, right? So all that to say, I am officially back, and like I mentioned in my relaunch post, I wrote a couple of drafts on kind of recapping what's been going on since my last published post. And to be honest, it's been very difficult to capture all the emotions and all the feels. So I really thought, hey, why not do a vlog? And I have to admit this, I borrowed my brother's camera to actually do this. And I recorded the whole thing, and then I got stuck thanks to technology because I couldn't convert a file to another file. And long story short, basically, that was an epic fail. So I'm actually having to kind of redo this again. So, which is okay, because I think I was really, really nervous the first time I actually sat down in front of the camera. Not that I'm a very shy person per se, it's kind of like, it's nerve-wracking, right? I'm putting myself out there. I don't know, I can't see how you guys are reacting to this video. So I'm putting myself in a very vulnerable state. But I've always liked the camera, actually, to be honest. I grew up watching a lot of Oprah. I would literally come home from school, and of course I'm pretty sure at 4 o'clock it was Oprah time, and I would be glued to every episode of her show. And I always had this crazy dream to eventually have a talk show or some sort of a show where I could interview or have discussions with people. So the more I thought about it, I really, really wanted to do this. And who knows, maybe this will turn into like a mom talk show or a parents show or something, right? You never know where things can take you. So don't quote me on it, but it might happen. Don't stop yourself, right? Never stop dreaming or believing in yourself, because you never know what you're capable of doing until you actually give it a shot. So that's my wisdom for you. So I mean, the whole purpose of doing this vlog was to really give you a recap of what's been going on, and also explain what my intentions are with my blog and where I want to take it. So I'm going to start with that. I started this blog, like I said, for myself, but also to really connect with other women and other moms like-mindedly. So, whether we're, raising children, whether we're at the same points of our lives with respect to our career, wherever we are, I just really want to connect. And I'm doing this with no personal gain. So I have no affiliations to any other businesses. I have no desire to really make any sort of revenue out of this, because it's really about showcasing motherhood and its journey and, the ups and downs. And another critical point too that I really want to emphasize is I really want to showcase motherhood with respect to representation, ensuring that, all moms, regardless of race, religion, culture, you are able to voice your fears, your challenges, your positive points, anything that you want to share. I want this to be your platform. And I'm really happy to say that I am working with moms collectively to do this. We've established another group called Colors of Mama Ottawa, myself and Pearly. We're doing this for mothers out there. So I really am trying to build that connection in Ottawa and maybe beyond, right? Actually, through this platform, we've, realized that there are many other people across the world, like in the UK, in the US, doing similar, initiatives. So really, like, bringing people together and bringing mothers with, women of color, people of color, anything. We are being as inclusive as possible. So that's really what I want to highlight with the purpose of my blog. And I'm going to be having a couple of discussions on the blog about that. I mean, one of the most obvious points is that my husband and I, Matt and I, we are an interracial couple. And at the beginning when we were dating, it never occurred to us that there's major differences or anything like that. But now, as we have kids together and we're parenting, we're realizing that there are some differences that we're kind of like, question marks here, question marks there. So anyways, that's a whole other side note, but there will be a discussion on that coming up very soon on the blog. So that's kind of the main focus here is just seeing where this platform takes us, and also hoping to get more events within the Ottawa region to highlight these women who need to be more representative and more more of a voice given to these minority groups. So stay tuned on that front. So now for the official recap. This is where it might get a bit raw and real, so bear with me and all the thoughts that are going through this mama's mind. So I think, like I said, I think the reason why I just stopped writing was time. Time was the biggest issue for us, because getting back to work after maternity leave, adjusting to Amia being in daycare full time, me being at work full time, there was a lot going on, and I think we just needed some time as a family to regroup and figure ourselves out. And during that process too, we were trying to figure out our living situation. So we decided we wanted to purchase a new home, something together. Matt and I never really purchase anything big like this before. We, he already had his home at the time, and I just happened to move in after getting married together. So this was a big decision for us, and we really, really put a lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of energy into whether or not we wanted to do this and if it was, the right timing for us. And so during that time, we were doing the runarounds, and we finally decided to purchase. And after that, I think life just became a blur. So that's my excuse for why I stopped writing. But truthfully, I think it was just I got too involved in the little nitty gritties of life, and it wasn't fair to me. So, and I think Matt realized that as well. And I knew that this time around, when I was to start my second mat leave, I knew that I wanted to come back, and I wanted to do more. And I often get questioned, like, how do you do it? How do you have all this spare time? And truthfully, it's not about spare time. It's about balance. And I'm not lucky that I have a husband that allows me to do this. If anything, he empowers me to do it. He definitely values and understands the purpose behind it, and he's my sorry Matt, he's my cheerleader from the sidelines, telling me to just go for it and do it. So it's about balance, and it's about having the right support system. And I think this time around too, after the second, it's not that we found it easier to adjust, we made it happen. So scheduling, me having to step out, him having to step out, we kind of just figured it out, and it's worked for us so far. So, I heard a lot of times going from 1 to 2 kids is probably the biggest shock of life. It was, to some degree, but I think we just got quickly used to the routine. We had no choice, because we have a toddler who needs us, and we have a life that needs us. So, poor second child just got put into the mix of things. And, the way I envision it is as if you're baking a cake and you've got all the ingredients, you need to add in that one last ingredient, and off goes the beater, beating the batter of the cake. That's pretty much how I feel like we've adjusted to this new life. So all that to say, thanks, hubby. So first shout out goes to you for empowering me and letting me find my way and doing what I'm passionate about. And this is one of many things. So wherever he needs me, I'm there for him, and vice versa. So I think where I'm trying to go with that is, time to recap what's happened in this last year, because I think this whole past year, so 2018 was a bit of a blur, adjusting to going back to work and whatever, but I think 2019 was truly a very interesting time for Matt and I, and tested us on many levels. And I wouldn't say it was a make or break, but I think it was definitely a time where we really needed to stick together. And I think that's exactly what's happened. And there were many bumps on the road, but and I'm sure this is life, right? It will continuously test us and test our boundaries, and I have no concerns that we wouldn't make it through it. So all that to say, 2018, at the end of 2018, at the beginning of 2018, we purchased our first home together. So then it was all about getting the house ready for showings and listing and decluttering, realizing how much crap we've accumulated over the 3 or 4 years of marriage at the time that we had, and it was interesting because I had to let go of a lot of things. He had to let go of a lot of things, but you know, that was test number one, I guess you could say. And then test number two was trying for a second. So we knew we wanted a second. We just weren't really sure about the timing of it all. But like, the timing will never be right? It's just kind of, you know, you can plan it as much as you want. You can, you know, count the days that you're ovulating to be like, okay, let's do this. But with Amia too, we were never like that, and the second time around, again, we weren't like that. But after the first few times when we were trying and then nothing was happening, I would take a pregnancy and it was coming out negative. I was starting to get a bit concerned, and I think there was just a lot going on, like all the external factors, like our house was listed, and we had all these people walking through, looking at the house, and we were getting, you know, some of them were negative comments about the house, and it's a very sensitive topic because that house has now become a commodity, right? Whereas it was your home, it already is your home, right? That's where you brought your first child, you got married, you know, it's got a lot of personal sentiments to it, associated to it, and then you have these strangers walking through and telling you, well, why is the hardwood scratched like that, or why is that room painted such and such color? So anyways, so there was a lot of factors that I think that were really on my mind that, you know, was ultimately causing some stress, and stress is never a good thing for human beings. So so I started to get a bit concerned, and you know, it was the common saying, you know, stop thinking about it. If you stop thinking about it, it'll naturally happen. So it happened. We got pregnant. You know, we found out we were pregnant end of February, early March, and by that time we had booked a trip already to visit my cousin in California in April. And then shortly thereafter, we also got an offer on the house, so the house sold. So it was a very stressful time, even though we were already pregnant, that, you know, when we got back from our trip, we would have 2 weeks to pack and pretty much get booted out of our house. And our new build home wouldn't be ready until August. So there was a stress about that, like, where are we gonna go? Thankfully, Matt's brother was able to help us out on that front, and we had a roof over our heads for the 4 months to carry us over. So that worked out. But again, it was a lot of like little details, and if it was just Matt and I, it would be different. But because we had Amia, there were so many other logistical things to figure out, and like, you know, how is her sleep going to be? She's going to be going from one environment to another environment. But truthfully, like, what a trooper she is. my baby, she's a trooper. And honestly, I think all children are so resilient and so adaptable to change that, you know, it really doesn't take them much. So, poor Lisa. I don't think I can edit that out of the video, so I'm sorry, folks, you've had to hear poor baby Elisa. So all that to say, we you know, we enjoyed our great trip. We came back, we packed up, we moved into our temporary place, and that was in May. And then June came around, and something unfortunate did happen, and that was one of, you know, my close, I would call him a close and dear friend and a mentor, and just a true human being had passed away. And, you know, I've definitely, like, death already is such a foreign concept that it's always hard to understand when someone does pass away. And you know, I lost a very close cousin of mine when she was 18 years old, and I still to this day have a hard time understanding how that even happened, because one moment you're visiting them in the hospital, you're talking to them, or you're saying I love you, I see you soon, and then the next day they're not there anymore, and it's hard to understand and wrap your mind around that. So same thing, of course, like it's just been hard to fathom what exactly happened, especially when it's such a sudden passing. And it's tough on everyone, because this individual was definitely a community leader, and definitely all for bringing people together and joining forces and doing big things. So it was hard. It was hard on everyone. A lot of people. I know a lot of people are still mourning that loss. And all that to say, I've been involved with the South Asian Festival for many years, at least 10 years, and this individual has been, the founder of this festival. And that year, so 2019, I had actually decided to take a step back from planning, being involved with the planning committee for the festival, because we had a second baby on the way, and it was a lot with the move and everything. And he completely understood this. He respected that, and he said, whenever you can, actually just drop in, come by. And that was the best thing about him, was his willingness to be so open and understanding and compassionate. So because of everything, and because of his vision, and not wanting that to just be thrown out the window, I decided to actually help out with the planning committee, and we all came together, and we did so much. A lot of us went above and beyond to make sure that this festival was put on and honored in the rightful manner. So it was busy. It got busy. It was very bittersweet, because on one hand we were planning this festival, and we were hearing from everyone, and community members that we were doing a good job, but then on the flip side, we were also mourning the loss of our dear friend. So it was hard. It was a lot of emotions all at once, and it was tough. It was very, very tough. And even that day, the day of the festival, it was in August, standing on that stage, it almost didn't feel right, because there was a piece of the puzzle missing. And I know we felt him throughout the planning. We felt his presence. We felt his vibe, his energy. Even on the day of, we definitely felt it. But there's always that inner emotion, that inner little voice that's saying, something's missing, right? And it hurts. It always hurts. So we did that. That took up a good chunk of the summer, was the planning and the preparations. And of course, during the festival time, we actually moved into our new home at the same time. So there was a lot going on, and man, moving into a new home is not easy. You think it is, because everything's already done for you, and it's someone's made and built this house for you, but really it's still a process you have to go through. And when you're so pregnant and so tired, and it's the smack of summer, you're not into it. But you've also put in so much time and energy and money into this financially, so there's a financial component that keeps reminding you, like, no, you need to pay more attention to what's going on in this process. So all that to say, I'm never moving again. I've told Matt many times that this is it. I know I say that, and he's like a real estate enthusiast, but I can't for my sanity and my poor little family sanity. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. So we call this our forever home. I truthfully think it is going to be our forever home, because I really want to see my children grow into this home. You know, my parents, and not to poke fun at them or anything, they every 8 to 10 years would basically say, okay kids, it's time to pack up and move out to another home, and it would always be a new build home. And I'm pretty sure we've covered every city in Ottawa. We've gone from Canada to Orleans to Barrhaven. Now they're in Kemptville. So I just I can't I can't do it anymore. So and plus, like, I love to build and create so many memories in this home, and watch them grow into it, and remember little things that have happened in this home. So so that happened. So that move happened, and here we are today. And then after that move, it was pretty much about getting things settled, getting stuff ready for the baby. We knew the gender the entire time, FYI. We didn't share it. I did with Amia. I had a mini gender reveal with our family, but I didn't do it for Eliza, and I didn't feel the need to do it. Actually, it was kind of something personal that Matt and I and just our parents knew, and that was enough, because I'm starting to learn more that there's no real point in sharing with the gender. The baby's a baby at the end of the day, right? And as long as it's a healthy baby, that's all that matters. And it was just actually fun kind of hearing people, come up to me and say, looks like you're carrying a boy, or looks like you're carrying a girl. And I would, acknowledge it, and, humor myself and think to myself, okay, thanks for your predictions, but at the end of the day, I just want a healthy baby. And that's all I really wanted. Because as the days got closer to delivery, I was getting, I wouldn't say nervous, but I was definitely feeling very uneasy. And I would kind of distract myself during the day because of work and house stuff and whatever, festival stuff. So I didn't let the thoughts get to me too much. But as we were getting closer to the date, and we knew it was November 6th because it was a planned C-section, I think I even jokingly said this to Matt one day. I said, I think I might have some PTSD because of the complications that I had from my first C-section, which was an emergency C-section with Amia. And it was all the worries and the scares of, post-delivery, and, what if I develop an infection again, and a lot of what ifs, right? Even though my OB, reassured me that because my body would be more relaxed going into the surgery this time, that the chances of me actually developing an infection this time might be, they're there, but might be slimmer. But there was still always kind of that worry, and that sat with me throughout the whole pregnancy. And but I guess, like I said, I was so distracted that there were so many factors around me that were kind of keeping my mind going, that I didn't really get a chance to let my mind take over. But I would feel it at nighttime, and I actually had multiple dreams, nightmares almost, about the surgery. So I think it was definitely, subconsciously it was there. And then, of course, through all this madness, I had decided to also change jobs. So, I'm always one for personal growth and development, and, I'm very passionate about my work. I always put in 110% into anything that I do. And I felt like if I didn't take this opportunity at that moment of time, I don't know when I would have that opportunity again. And this time around too, I mean, I was with EMEA, I was definitely afraid to be off for a year because I was worried about me losing that year and you know, my professional growth. I didn't want to feel like I was being left behind. So, but then I also going through it, I realized, okay, that year actually goes by a lot quicker than I think. And also when I did go back to work, I realized, okay, I didn't really miss that much. So if anything too, when I went back to work the first time around, like I got my promotion, and then, even with Eliza, like I basically started, a great job before going on mat leave. So it worked out, definitely worked out. Could the timing have been better? Of course, but you can't really plan for those types of things, and that's okay, right? Like again, that's just life throwing these different curveballs at you. And so I accepted this new position, and it was a lot too because you're going into a new environment, and you're trying to start new things, but also knowing that you've only got 3-4 months to go before you're off on mat leave. So that positioning was a bit difficult to understand, and I still did my best. I put in my all my time and effort, but I was also a bit reluctant in doing certain things, and getting too involved and too invested in some of the projects and initiatives. But it was just another kind of stress to add on to everything else that was going on. That was more on me. That was a self-inflicted stress, I guess. And then of course, like you're throughout pregnancy, you're going through different emotions, you're going through different feelings and different thoughts, right? It's interesting how my pregnancy this time around was definitely, I felt stronger, and I think the reason why I felt stronger was because I was still working out. Thanks to my girl Amber, you get a shout out here. I was working out, and I was making sure that I was stronger this time around that I was with EMEA. With EMEA, I mean, I did work out up to a certain point, but then I kind of got lazy, and then I did yoga, and yoga was great, but did it actually make me physically strong? I don't think so. Whereas with Eliza, I was lifting weights, and I was still doing high intensity workouts, and of course modified to a certain extent. But I knew that I wanted to be stronger and mentally, not just physically but mentally as well, so that I could bounce back quicker. And by bounce back, I don't mean drop my weight and be back to whatever I was before pre-pregnancy. I mean bounce back to be there for EMEA and to pick up the things around the house, and because that luxury wasn't there anymore, where I could just kind of relax like I did with EMEA, like during EMEA's recovery time. So I did a lot of that. I did a lot of working out, and it felt great every time. I would actually dread going to the gym, but then the moment I left, I felt like I had some energy, some very, very slim amount. And I can tell you that this time around too, with this pregnancy, they say that you normally get your energy back after the second trimester. I did not. I think I was exhausted the entire time. I would literally fall asleep on the sofa, and that would be my evening unless I was at the gym. So, and I did a lot of walking this time around too, and that's because I had to park far enough that allowed me to walk a lot from my parking spot to my office building and then back in the afternoon, unless it was like a scorching hot day, and then I would find other means, aka my brother, or tell Matt to drive me to work and back home. But those are kind of like, you know, the perks of being pregnant, is that you can ask for these luxuries. But really, I think, you know, once August came around, we were really tired, all of us, and you know, September was, again, like I said, just kind of settling in, getting ready for the baby. And you know, like I said, I knew the gender, so I was washing clothes because I knew I could use the majority of Amia's newborn stuff, and you know, the sleepers and clothes and such. So that worked out great. I didn't have to worry about that. But it was just kind of like the little things, like we wanted to do projects around the house, and one of the projects being, the first project being this wall behind me here. And just the other little cute things that you want to do, you know, in the house and stuff. So that kind of took up a lot of our time. And then, you know, it was also preparing Amia for the new baby. So talking to her a lot about the baby, and reading her books about baby, you know, her being a big sister. And I think, you know, she was at a good age. So she turned 3 in September. So, you know, and we were delivering in November. And that was the other thing too. So September was her birthday. So planning her birthday, and her and Matt's birthday are the same date. So we always do something during the day, and then we have a birthday party for Amia, and I secretly always say for Matt too, but he doesn't believe that because he hasn't had, you know, his choice of theme birthday at all in the past 3 years. You know, but I think she was at a good age that we could explain to her that, you know, there's a baby coming, there's a baby in mama's belly, and, you know, she'd ask some questions, and, you know, is baby here yet? You know, where's baby? And so, there was a lot of questioning, but very innocent like questions, and we just always made sure to be honest and upfront about it with her. And you know, ever since Eliza's been born, though, Amia has been nothing but, you know, head over heels over her little sister. If she could smother her all day, she probably would. And I don't know if it's because she thinks, you know, Eliza's like this little doll that she can play with and, you know, dress up. But, you know, she doesn't have that concept of, you know, being gentle and giving her space a little bit. So, so we're working on that, and it's still very much a work in progress. But, overall, it's been good. I think, like I said, that adjustment from going from 1 to 2 has definitely been challenging at times. And I think in the beginning too, you know, especially when we were really trying to keep Amia's routine on point and making sure that, you know, her day wasn't completely thrown off guard, irrespective of how mom and dad slept throughout the night, because we've been attending to a newborn. It really was to ensure that she was on her schedule and maintaining that schedule. And I think that's what helped, was that consistency. And I think what also helped too was, you know, I recovered, knock on wood, a lot quicker than I did with Amia's time. And, you know, by the second or third week, I definitely was still in pain, but I was definitely in a position to change a diaper, or walk down the stairs, or you know, make myself a lunch instead of asking Matt to do that. So I had more of that this time around than I did with recovering from the first time. And I think you know, not really knowing what to expect, but kind of in the sense that like I knew that I had to be careful in certain ways. I had to make sure I wasn't lifting Amia. And that was another worry of mine, was how would she react to that? But she was fine, to be honest. And like I said, like these kids are so resilient. They, you know, as much as they might want to be picked up and they might want to be snuggled, they understand. They can understand the situation. You know, if I said, Amia, I can't pick you up right now, but why don't you come and cuddle with me in bed? She would do that, and she loved that. And that's kind of become like our new thing, is like, you know, let's cuddle in bed on the Saturday morning. And they kind of get it, right? And so again, all those worries and all those thoughts that were kind of like really intertwined in my mind and like kind of eating me alive, at the end of it, I was like, she's okay. We're okay. Everything's okay. And, you know, maybe part of it too is that you kind of get a lot of unsolicited advice from people and telling you like, it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that. I'll make sure you do this or make sure you do that. And as much as you're appreciative of all those things, and I know it's all coming from a really good place, and, you know, people are really trying to be as helpful as they can, sometimes it's just best for you to experience what you're about to go through. Because only you know at the end of the day how you're going to react to it, how you're going to feel about it, and how you're going to manage it as well. So, you know, we just kind of rolled with it. We went with it, and I know I already provided. That's me so official, but I know I already spoke about you know, the whole experience of the C-section the second time around in my relaunch post. And, you know, truthfully, as much as I was so nervous before, and I was just, you know, my anxiety was through the roof and whatnot, it really, just kind of knowing what was to come really did help. And like I said, because I felt stronger going into it, I felt like I had a handle over this time around. And that's another thing that I kind of want to touch on too, is the anxiety of it all. I definitely feel like my anxiety has, you know, become more sensitive to certain things, and that's just, I think, a work in progress. And I think it's important for me to mention and talk about that as well, because then it helps, you know, those around me who I lean on know that, okay, I'm not overreacting. I'm actually feeling anxious about a certain situation, and you know, it helps to know what's going on through my mind, and sharing what's going on as well. So, you know, I've tried different things to help cope with that anxiety, and it's definitely a work in progress, like I said, and it's something that I need to focus on, and make sure I'm taking, you know, things in little pieces, instead of kind of like always assuming the worst of every situation, which is very, very common of me. And it's just really finding that inner balance of every situation, you know. So knowing that, you know, my husband travels for work and I have to be the sole parent for a couple of days, well, just even like me saying that makes me anxious. But I've had to put myself in those situations, or I haven't had to, but I've been put in those certain situations, and I've had to find little things to help me cope with that, you know, kind of just taking it one step at a time, walking through what I need to do, pre-planning, so, you know, making sure like dinners are already cooked, so I don't have to worry about like the last minute rush of getting me a dinner or eating myself. So just finding little ways to really cope with that. So going back to my timeline, I don't even know where I am at this point. September, October. Okay, so October, yes. Everything, you know, everything's going great in pregnancy. Everything's set for the C-section, and then we received some very sudden and unfortunate news a week and a half before delivering Elisa, and that was the passing of Matt's dad. He had a near accident, and just like that, he passed away. And that hurt. That hurt a lot. It hurt us. It hurt the families. It hurt a lot of people, and it still hurts. It's, the timing is just, the timing of it was so weird. I have no other way to explain it but saying that the timing was just so weird, because on one hand we had so many plans the week prior to me delivering. Like, Matt was going to take some time off, we were going to do a couple of things around the house, and just like some last minute little fun things for us, him and I, to do together. And unfortunately, of course, those plans changed, and we were planning a funeral. We were calling relatives, we were meeting relatives, we were explaining to our daughter what happened. And again, death is such a hard thing to comprehend, and explaining that to a 3-year-old is even just as like, how do I explain this to you, right, in a way that you will understand. And we were very honest with her. We explained to her that this was a situation, this is what happened, and we were truthful about it. We didn't hide anything. We didn't want to beat around the bush. We wanted to be as honest as possible with her so that she would process it. And if she had any questions, she would ask us. But she did. She'd ask little things, and she'd make little comments, and even to this day, she'll say, "Oh, is Grandpapa gonna be there?" And it hits you when she asks these questions, but you have to tell her that no, he's not here. He's, the way we've explained it to her is that he's one of the stars in the sky, and he's looking down on you and everyone else, and he's making sure we're all okay. And that's how we've had to kind of go about it. And it's worked so far. Like I said, she'll suddenly realize that he might still be here, and but we just we have to reiterate that from time to time. And it's okay. She's 3. She's 3.5 almost. And I just hope that somewhere in her little mind, her little big mind, that she's retained some memories and some images of him, and that she'll hold on to those for forever. And that's the other thing too, is that when people pass, you should always talk about it. You shouldn't bottle in those feelings. You shouldn't feel a need to shy away from them. It's a reality of life, right? There's celebrations when there's a life that's brought into this world, and likewise there should be celebrations when a life is taken out of this world. And those celebrations should be having talks and discussions, and talking about the memories, talking about the stories and the good times, and reminiscing over little things, little memories that come to your mind. I think that's definitely important, and it helps with the process as well. And I try and poke and prod Matt from time to time and say, "Hey, remember when your dad used to do this?" Or and he might not like it, but I just feel like, not that I'm doing my part, but that I'm enabling him to talk about it and remind him that it's okay to talk about his dad. And if he feels emotional or unsettling about it, that's okay too. That's normal. And that's one thing that, needs to be normalized. That it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, because we're human. We're just human. We're allowed to have these feelings. So yeah, so it's definitely been it's been a heavy 2019. I think that's the best way to put it. On one hand, yes, we were planning this funeral and saying goodbye to Matt's dad. My father-in-law, literally like a few days later, I was bringing a life into this world, and that was a bittersweet feeling, because a lot of people came up to us at the funeral and they said, well, it's a good thing you're delivering very soon. And yeah, it was a good thing, but at the same time, I felt like there was a lot of pressure to to bring obviously this child into this world, and make sure that this child would be that joy. And of course she is. I mean, she's been nothing but joy for us. She's definitely got a bit of my father-in-law's quirkiness, I would say. And people always tell you that look for a sign when she's born, that she's been kissed by him through passing, right? As one's leaving, the other one's coming into this world. And I remember being on the operating table and the nurse telling us the time that Elisa was born, and that was 12 a.m. And Matt and I have this weird numerology obsession. We calculate numbers to be like, oh, does this give us anything significant? What does this tell us? And so I happened to just and of course I'm super drugged. I'm feeling the shakes. I'm on the operating table and they say 11, 12, and I instantly calculate what's 11 plus 12? 23. And then I look at Matt and I say, Matt, your dad's birthday is June 23rd. Elisa was born at 11, 12. That equates to 23. And it was just maybe it sounds silly, right? Maybe that's a silly way to think about it. But sometimes you need these little things to kind of give you that ray of hope, or that, that ounce of energy or something to remind you that that these signs do exist, and these angels do exist, whoever, wherever they are. So that was a feel-good moment when we both kind of had that realization about the time of birth. And it's been obviously different. All the firsts are always the toughest. Christmas was tough. You feel that kind of emptiness, that there's someone missing, and everyone else kind of feels it, but you're also kind of putting on a happy face and going along because all the kids are there, all the grandkids are there, and you're just really trying to be strong yourself. And at the end of the day, that's what that person would have wanted as well, is not to see you all crying together. I think they would love to see everyone being in a happy state of mind, and knowing that we're still thinking of him, but we're doing so in a different way. We're seeing it through the kids, and as they're playing, and as they're growing, and as they're becoming their own people, and how they have certain traits of maybe him, right? So it's it was tough. It was definitely a tough 2019. And so That was a part of another reason actually why I really wanted to come back and write, and I guess now do these videos, was to share what I may be going through, because maybe there are more people out there who might be going through similar ups and downs, and you know, a connection can be made that way as well. And it's all about learning from one another, understanding what we're going through, and being real about it too. So, you know, like I mentioned before, I think for me, as much as I've acknowledged that yes, death exists, and yes, we all have to pass at one point of time, I still have a hard time understanding how someone can be here one day and not be here the next day. You know, and maybe there's someone out there that might be feeling the same way. Maybe there's an opportunity to connect or have discussions. Who knows, right? Who knows where this video will take me, and where I want to go. But I just really want to leave off by saying, you know, don't ever lose yourself in any sort of process that you're in, whether you're battling your inner self or your external energies and factors. Never lose yourself. I think we're all sent to be here for a purpose, and we have extraordinary things to do, to accomplish. Just find your vibe, and find your people, find what works for you, and just do it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to do anything, because really, worst case, what's going to happen? It doesn't work out. And if it doesn't work out, then you can move on to the next thing. I think, you know, I turned 30 last year, and I said to myself, like, enough is enough. I'm going to stop letting the little things get to me and eat me alive and worry me sick. And instead, I just want to enjoy. I want to enjoy life. I want to do more. I want to put my energies to something more, and be creative, and be spontaneous as well, as much as I'm not spontaneous. At least when it comes to running a household, I have to be as detailed, planned as possible, but that's okay. But I mean, I can pick up on a Saturday and say, let's do something fun, right? But truthfully, like, just do you. And I think that's been my motto going forward, is just be you, and be real to yourself, and cherish your little humans too. Sometimes I see a lot of negativity towards our little babies, and yes, I know we have our days and we have our moments, and oh my god, there's some days where I just want to walk away from my toddler telling me that she doesn't want to sleep for the 100th time. But then I'm also that sucker that goes back into her room once she's sleeping and wants to cuddle and snuggle her and smell her and hold her tight, because there are gifts, there are little gifts, and I always tell Amia, and I'll be sure, and I mean, sometimes I tell Elisa, but obviously she just wants to eat, sleep, and poop and pee still, but she's developing her personality now, almost close to 4 months. And you know, I always want to just reiterate to my girls that there's never anything stopping them from doing what they want to do, whatever that might be. And that's what I really want to emphasize here today too. So no matter what struggles you've gone through, no matter what battles and challenges you might have faced in the last little bit, don't let that hold you back. Do more, be more, and just have fun with it. So I'm going to stop there because I could ramble on forever. So here's to my first vlog. I hope there'll be more. I definitely intend on doing more, a mix of this and writing. So stay tuned, and definitely, send me your comments, leave a comment. I am open to any sort of critiquing, love, suggestions, whatever you got. I'm all ears. So thanks, guys, and we'll catch you soon.